It is Friday. Welcome. And it's 3 o'clock, so you know what we're going to be doing together. We're going to be perusing the bookshelves of story and song. And today I found a most wonderful Notting Hill edition on cats, an anthology. And it's introduced by Margaret Atwood, who is a novelist and certainly a poet. We have actually done an entire half-hour show on her at one point in time. But these are her ruminations and selections. And it starts with a quote from Garrison Keillor. "Cats are intended to teach us that not everything in nature has a purpose." Good lesson, that. And from Garrison, we're going to go to that well-known author, Anonymous. Now, this was translated from the Old Irish by none other than W.H. Auden, another significant poet, in 1954. Pangur Ban, the monk and his cat, 9th century. Now this, by the way, happens to be an Irish classic. Pangur, white Pangur, how happy we are alone together, scholar and cat. Each has his own work to do daily. For you it is hunting, for me study. Your shining eye watches the wall. My feeble eye is fixed on a book. You rejoice when your claws entrap a mouse. I rejoice when my mind fathoms a problem. Pleased with his own art, neither hinders the other. Thus we live ever without Te Deum and envy. And next, let's hear from somebody who isn't anonymous, doesn't want to be anonymous, and never will be, none other than Ernest Hemingway. This is an excerpt from a letter to Hadley Maurer, who was one of his wives, and it's dated 25 November 1943. And the Bumby that is referenced here actually is a nickname of his son and Hadley's, the one that they had together. Dearest Hadley, Bumby wrote me, first letter in almost 3 months, and was sure he had gone overseas, that you were in the hospital. So, hasten to write to hope it doesn't amount to anything, and whether it does or not, to send much love, and that you will be fine soon. Poor cat, I hate to think of you as ever ill or anything. Hope so you are all right now. This letter brings much, much love, and get well quickness. In case you are in hospital or in bed and want to be amused or informed, let's say there are 11 cats here. One cat just leads to another. The mother is Tester, a Persian from the Silver Dawn Cattery, somewhere in Florida. She had a kitten named Thruster out of Dillinger, a black and white cat from Kojamar, a coastal fishing village. By the same sire, she also bore Furhouse, Fats, Friendless, and Friendless's brother, all in the same litter. 2 lovely black Persians appearings, and 2 black and whites like Dingy. We also have a gray sort of snow leopard cat named Uncle Woofer, Persian, and a tiger cat from Guanaboca named Goodwill after Nelson Rockefeller. Now, there are, at present, 2 half-grown kittens named Blindy, on account of blindness, born that way, daughter of Thruster and her own father. That shows us a fat lady. And nuisance value, also known as Littleless Kitty, who is the most beautiful of all, with a purr that would blast you out of the hospital. Place is so damn big, it doesn't really seem as though there were many cats until you see them all moving like a mass migration at feeding time. Oh, we also have 5 dogs. 1 good pointer and the others small mongrels in the style of a wax puppy. It's wonderful when Mary and or the kids are here, but it is lonesome as a bastard when I'm here alone. Now, I have taught Uncle Wolfer, Dillinger, and Will to walk along the railings to the top of the porch pillars and make a pyramid like lions. Oh, and have taught Friendless to drink with me, whiskey and milk. But that even doesn't take the place of a wife and family. I never had so damn much time to think in my life, especially nights on the water and here when I can't sleep from having lost the habit, and have thought about you with great pleasure and admiration, and how wonderful you were and are. Did you ever see anything handsomer than that Bumby after the army had knocked the college fat off of him? Since I've spent so much time with my cats and seen everything they have to go through, I don't mind so much never having had a daughter. Marry and heat and repent at leisure was one thing thought up on the boat the other day. The other was something about custody, that great proof of chastity. Maybe I'll turn out to be Henry James of the People or the comic strips. So long as my dearest Catherine, Paul can't mind me, loving you because knowing you, he would know that I would be crazy if I didn't. And I have been crazy. Oh, but never stay that way long. When it is really rough on ocean, sing old songs like, "Oh, my gentleman, if you've got any feather cats and a feather kitty's talent lies, the Basque crew thinks these are folk songs of my country." And so they are. So get well quickly. Take care of yourself and of Paul, and expect the obedient devotion of your Tatty. Now, if that doesn't help you get well, I don't know what will. Now, from Lynn Truss, name may not be familiar to you, but it is to me because she wrote something that I dearly loved not all that long ago. And it's Eats, Shoots, and Leaves, the zero-tolerance approach to punctuation. But there is another aspect to her, as there is to so many different people. This is from Making the Cat Laugh, One Woman's Journal of Single Life on the Margins, from 1996. No valentines from the cats today. Sometimes I wonder whether they are working as hard at this relationship as I am. Few other pets, I imagine, were lucky enough to find their Valentine's Day breakfasts laid out on heart-shaped trays with the words, "From Guess Who," artfully arranged in kit bits around the edge. But what do I get in return? Not even a single rose. Not even a, "Oh, charming thought, dear, must rush." Just the usual unceremonious leap through the cat flap, the usual glimpse of the flourished furry backside with its eat my shorts connotation. Wearily I sweep up the kit bits with a dustpan and brush and try to remember whether King Lear was talking about pets when he coined the phrase about the serpent's tooth. Of course, the world would be a distinctly different place if cats suddenly comprehended the concept of give and take. If every time you struggled home with 100 weight of cat food and said accusingly, "This is all for you, you know," the kitties accordingly hung their heads and felt embarrassed. Imagine the scene on the garden wall. "Oh, honestly, guys, I'd love to come out. But the old lady gave me Sheba this morning, and, well, I feel kind of obligated to stay home." "She gave you Sheba?" "Yeah, but don't go on about it. I feel bad enough that I can never remember to wipe my feet when I come in from the garden. When I think of how much she does for me," breaks down and sobs. Instead, one takes one's thanks in other ways. For example, take the Valentine's present I bought them. A new catnip toy, shaped like a stick of dynamite. Now, this has gone down gratifyingly well, even though the joke misfired slightly. You see, I had fancied the idea of a cat streaking through doorways with a stick of dynamite between its jaws, looking as though it had heroically dived into a threatened mine shaft and recovered the explosive just in time to save countless lives. Now, in this lassie come home fantasy, however, I was disappointed. Instead, cat number one reacted to the dynamite by drooling an alarming quantity of gooey stuff all over it, as though producing ectoplasm, and then hugging it to his chest and trying to kick it to death with his back paws. Yet, all is not lost. If the cat chooses to reject the heroic image, I can still make the best of it. With a few subtle adjustments to my original plan, I can now play a highly amusing game with the other cat, which involves shouting, "Quick, take cover! Buster's got a stick of dynamite and we'll all be blown sky high," and I dive behind the sofa. I suppose all this gratitude stuff has been brought to mind because I recently purchased a very expensive cat accessory, which has somehow failed to elicit huzzas of appreciation. In fact, it has been completely cold-shouldered. Called a cat's cradle, it is a special fleecy-covered cat hammock which hooks on to a radiator. The cat is suspended in a cocoon of warmth. Oh, a brilliant invention, you might think. Any rational cat would jump straight into it. Too stupid to appreciate the full glory of my gift, however, My own cats sleep underneath it, as though it shelters them from rain. And I begin to lose patience. Come on, kitty, I trilled at first. I rubbed my cheek on the fleecy stuff. Isn't this lovely? Wouldn't this make you feel like like an Eastern potentate, or a genie on a magic carpet, or a very fortunate cat having a nice lie down suspended from a radiator? However, I stopped this approach after a week of failure. Now I pull on my thick gardening gloves, grab a wriggling cat by the waist, and hold it firmly on its new bed for about 45 seconds until it breaks away. I'm reminded of a rather inadequate thing that men sometimes say to women in an attempt to reassure them. The woman says, "I never know if you loved me, Jonathan." And the man replies smoothly, "Well, I'm here, aren't I?" The subtext to this corny evasion, which fools nobody, is a very interesting cheat. It suggests that, should the slightest thing be wrong with this man's affections, he would, of course, push off immediately into the wintry night, rather than spend another minute compromising his integrity at the nice fireside with cups of tea. Having a cat, I find, makes you susceptible to this line of reasoning, perhaps because it is your only direct line of consolation. I wonder if he loves me, you think, occasionally. Perhaps as you search the doormat in vain for valentines with paw prints on them. Then you gently lift the can opener from its velvet cushion in the soundproofed kitchen, and with a loud ker-chunk, chunk, a cat comes cannoling through the cat flat and skids backwards across the lino on its bum. And you think cheerfully, well, of course he does. I mean, he's here, isn't he? And now, from another one of our favorites, is Lewis Carroll from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland of 1865. Alice was just beginning to think to herself, "Now, what am I to do with this creature when I get it home?" When it grunted again so violently that she looked down into its face in some alarm. This time there could be no mistake about it. It was neither more nor less than a pig, and she felt that it would be quite absurd for her to carry it any further. So she let the little creature down, and it felt quite relieved to see it trot away quietly into the wood. If it had grown up, she said to herself, it would have made a dreadfully ugly child. But it makes rather a handsome pig, I think. And she began thinking over other children she knew who might do very well as pigs, and was just saying to herself, if one only knew the right way to change them, when she was a little startled by seeing the Cheshire cat sitting on a bough of a tree a few yards off. The cat only grinned when it saw Alice. It looked good-natured, she thought. Still, it had very long claws, and a great many teeth. So she thought it ought to be treated with respect. Cheshire Puss, she began, rather timidly, as she did not know at all whether it would be like the name. However, it only grinned a little wider. Come, it's pleased so far, thought Alice, and she went on. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? Well, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat, so long as I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. Oh, you're sure to do that, said the cat, if you only walk long enough. Alice felt that this could not be denied, so she tried another question. What sort of people live about here? In that direction, the cat said, waving its right paw round, lives a hatter. And in that direction, waving the other paw, lives a March hare. Oh, visit either you like. They're both mad. But I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that, said the cat. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad. How do you know I'm mad? Said Alice. Oh, you must be, said the cat. So you wouldn't have come here. Alice didn't think that proved it at all. However, she went on. And how do you know that you're mad? To begin with, said the cat. A dog's not mad. You grant that? I suppose so, said Alice. Well then, cat went on, you see, a dog growls when it's angry, wags its tail when it's pleased. Now, I growl when I'm pleased and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad. I call it purring, not growling, said Alice. Call it what you like, said the cat. Do you play croquet with the Queen today? Oh, I should like it very much, said Alice, but I haven't been invited yet. You'll see me there, said the cat, and vanished. Alice was not much surprised at this. She was getting so used to queer things happening. While she was looking at the place where it had been, it suddenly appeared again. By the by, what became of the baby? Said the cat. I'd nearly forgotten to ask. It turned into a pig, Alice quietly said, just as if it had come back in a natural way. I thought it would, said the cat, and vanished again. Alice waited and a little, half expecting to see it again, but it did not appear, and after a minute or two she walked on in the direction in which the March hare was said to live. I've seen hatters before, she said to herself. The March hare will be much the most interesting, and perhaps as this is May, it won't be raving mad, at least not so mad as it was in March. As she said this, she looked up, and there was the cat again, sitting on the branch of a tree. Did you say pig or fig? Said the cat. I said pig, replied Alice, and I wish you wouldn't keep appearing and vanishing so suddenly. You make one quite giddy. All right, said the cat. This time It vanished quite slowly, beginning with the end of the tail, and ending with the grin which remained some time after the rest of it had gone. Well, I've often seen a cat without a grin, thought Alice, but a grin without a tail? Ah, it's the most curious thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, just one or two very quick quotes, not long expressions that I'd love to share with you. Charles Dickens said, "What greater gift than the love of a cat?" Albert Schweitzer said, "There are two means of refuge from the misery of life: music and cats." Mark Twain said, "If animals could speak, the dog would be a blundering, outspoken fellow, but the cat would have the rare grace of never saying a word too much." And Colette said, "Time spent with a cat is never wasted." And so, until next we meet on next Friday, where we'll have a completely different subject on hand, have the best of good weekends. Till then,